standard 12, and today we are going to start a very fresh topic, that is group number 17. This group is very important as exam point of view, and most of the question can come from this group. Okay. Group number 16, important question I told you, like contact process or oxyacids of sulfur, these are the question important, but group number 17 it's very important, and also group number 18, but group number 18 is small. Similarly, group number 17 is also small, but in group number 17 2-3 topics are there. The topics are bit confusing topic, that's why it feels difficult. Else group number 17 is also very easy. Here we will discuss today just certain properties, then we will see tomorrow certain reaction, and in this topic there is one very important question, that is an interhalogen compounds. So the topic of group number 17, interhalogen compounds. The interhalogen compound topic is very important, and most of the competition exam this question has been asked, interhalogen compounds. Clear? See, many things have been deleted by the CBSE, but we do not have any kind of a formal letter from Gujarat board. The letter which has come decreasing of a reduced syllabus, that syllabus is from NCERT, not from Gujarat board. So I am doing each and everything, because I am not saying the boards, we are having a vision for G and NEET. So there is no letter from G and NEET that this thing should be cancelled or this thing should be deleted. So I am doing each and everything. You also do each and everything. We have a lot of time. We will complete soon also syllabus, need not to worry. After this chapter, probably I will start alcohol phenol ether, or we will see which chapter I am getting it. Clear? This week you will not have any kind of a test. So you will not have any kind of a test this week because of GNET. So do not prepare about the class test. Better you give the time for GNET. Clear? So today I am going to start group number 17. We will see one by one. We will see certain important things. Clear? So first, so group number 17, and group number 17 is known as a halogens. Clear? Halogen, the name is made up of two words, halo and gen. Halo and gen. Halo means salt. It is a Greek word. This halogen is a Greek word. So halo in Greek, halo is in Greek, but in English halo is known as a salt. And gen means generator or formator. So halogens are one which will generate the salt. How can you generate the salt? So this element will combine with metal, they form the salt, and you know the salt also, acid plus base gives salt plus water. So that salt, what it is forming, so that salt are nothing but from group number 17. So they are the actually salt generator. It is not like that the salt will only come from group number 17. No, there are many other salt, like sodium sulfate is a salt. But group number 17 usually all the elements, usually not all the elements will generate salts. That is why the halogen, full halogen meaning is salt generator. Halogen meaning is what? Salt generator. So totally we will see the elements. So the element of a group number 17 are fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. And astatine is a radioactive element of group number 17. Along with me, please you also write down radioactive element. Or first you listen, I will give you the time to write. Okay. So this is a radioactive element. So this is known as a fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. Fir kal bar I anti, group number 17. Clear? So this the mnemonics, if you want to remember, don't remember. But group number 17 elements are how? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, astatine. Astatine we are not considering because of radioactive in nature. So we will see its occurrence. So if you see the fluorine occurrence, so fluorine occurrence can be from fluorspar, as you know, calcium fluoride, in general principle it will come. So fluorspar. Clear? Then we can see cryolite. Yes or no? So this is nothing but a cryolite. So these are nothing but a mineral and occurrence of fluorine. Another you can see, that's it. Okay. So Chlorine, it's very simple. It is at your home only, NaCl, sodium chloride, okay. Then you can take KCl, clear. Similarly, bromine occurrence is from sodium bromide or potassium bromide. An important mineral of iodine is sodium iodate, NaIO3. So this is nothing but sodium iodate, clear. So this is the important mineral of iodine. So these are the occurrence of halogen. These are the occurrence of halogen, and halogen, I told you, this is a fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine. Clear this part? See, these all elements are non-metal. Why they are non-metal? Because of high electronegative nature. Because of high electronegative, or they have a high electroaffinity value. You can write down, or you can say they are non-metal. The best reason you can give, because of high ionization energy. Because of high ionization energy. Why? I'll tell you. Ionization energy. See, it is very difficult to remove an electron from this fluorine, chlorine, bromine or iodine. It's very difficult. Means it requires very large energy to remove an electron or to convert into a gaseous atom. So electron removal process converting into gaseous atom itself is known as a what? Ionization energy. So they have a very high ionization energy. In short, it tries to tell that due to its very high ionization energy, they cannot lose the electron. Means what they will do? They will strongly gain the electron. And as you know, one who gains the electron, they are known as a what? Non-metal from the lower classes. So non-metal, the technical reason can be two. First technical reason is what? They will gain the electron and convert into negative ions, due to which they are a non-metal. But this is a very low class reason. Now we are in 12th standard, so you have to give a very high technical reason, and high technical reason is that this atom of these elements, they have a very high ionization energy, means they require very large energy to remove an electron. Hence that energy we cannot supply. So they will not lose the electron. Instead, most of the element, they will not lose the electron. Instead, they will have a good capacity of attracting the electron. Attracting the electron means they are non-metal. Okay, it's not like that if you move downside the group, electron negativity decreases and they can lose the electron. But I am talking about overall. So they are non-metal because they can gain the electron, or you can give one technical reason because of very high ionization energy. Clear this part? Clear? So next we will see their general electronic configuration. So the general electronic configuration is what? Group number 17 means the general electronic configuration is NS2NP5. Yes or no? So this is the general electronic configuration. So this is something, but it is valence shell, and you can see in the valence shell there are totally 7 electrons. And if you see in the P orbital is 3, that is Px, Py and Pz, and in P how many electrons are there? 5 electrons. So either maximum, we will see their oxidation number. If I want to see the oxidation number, so see, in their valence shell there are maximum 7 electrons. Yes or no? And they require 1 electron to complete an octet. So what is the range of their oxidation number? The oxidation number range will be +7 to -1. So this is the oxidation range, that is +7 to -1. Yes or no? If you see the valence electron, so valence shell electron is NS2NP5. The valence shell is nothing but what? NS2NP5, means they have a maximum 7 electron. Means they have a 7 electron in their outermost shell, means they can lose at the max how many electrons? 7 electron. If you see the p orbital, in p orbital there are 5 electrons, but we need 6 electrons, means there is a 1 electron. If they gain 1 electron, so their octet will be complete. So how many they can gain electron? 1 electron. Means the range of oxidation number can vary from where to where? So the oxidation number range can vary from +7 to -1. If you see the compound example IF7, see IF7, if you see the oxidation number of iodine is 7. See I plus 7F, this is nothing but an interhalogen compound. I will teach in later classes. So 7 into -1 equal to 0, I minus 7 equal to 0, see I equal to 7. And if you see the iodine, if you see the I minus, or if you see any compound like sodium iodide, so if you calculate the oxidation number, that is Na plus I equal to 0, sodium will be guaranteed 1, so I equal to 0, so I will be equal to -1. So from here I can tell that the group number 17 oxidation state can vary from +7 to -1. Why +7? Because the maximum 7 electrons are there in their outermost orbit, hence they can lose the electron at the max 7, or they will gain 1 electron because they require 1 electron in the Pz, or 1 electron in the p orbital to complete an octet. So maximum they can lost 1 electron or maximum they can gain 1 electron. Either they can lost 7 electron or they can gain 1 electron. So their oxidation number will vary from +7 to -1. So the oxidation number vary from +7 to -1. But in that there is one exception. So exception is of fluorine. So exception, that what is the exception? Fluorine, that is fluorine will have only -1 oxidation state. Why? So there is a one reason. This is very important, and you know that fluorine is the first most electronegative element of whole periodic table. Yes or no? If you combine any element with fluorine, say if you are combining element F with any element, say element Z, so there is a bond between F and Z. So fluorine is being most electronegative in nature of whole periodic table. So fluorine will always attract the electron from Z and will create -1. And there is no more electronegative element than fluorine. When there is no element more electronegative than fluorine, hence fluorine can never lose the electron, fluorine can only gain the electron, and fluorine can gain how many electrons at the max? Only 1 electron. That is why fluorine will have only one oxidation state, that is -1, whereas other element the oxidation state will vary, but fluorine will have only one kind of an oxidation state, and that oxidation state is only -1. So write down, you write down one exception here. Fluorine shows, you can write down somewhere, I will give the time, but you write down somewhere, then you can take a screenshot, but you write down here one exception. Write down that fluorine shows -1 oxidation state only. Write down only. Only means that's it, over here. Okay. So fluorine will show only -1 oxidation state due to strong electronegative nature. Due to strong electronegative in nature. Due to strong electronegative in nature, and one more I will show you technical reason. So first exception, that is that the fluorine will have only -1 oxidation state due to high electronegative nature, and I told you that fluorine is the most electronegative element of whole periodic table. So due to the high electronegative nature of fluorine, fluorine can never lose the electron, fluorine will always gain the electron, and how much fluorine can gain the electron? Due to electronic configuration NS2np5, so they have a capacity to gain only 1 electron. Due to this reason, fluorine will gain only 1 electron and shows -1 oxidation state. Another reason, what can be another reason? That reason also you know. See, fluorine means atomic number will be 9. Yes or no? So that is 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Yes or no? See, there is no 2d orbital. We don't have, because d orbital start from 3d. So there is no 2d orbital. Means I can say that there is no vacant d orbital in fluorine electronic configuration. We do not have any kind of 2d orbital. We have 2d orbital? No. The d orbital starts from 3d. So there is no vacant d orbital. So there is no vacant d orbital in the electronic configuration of fluorine. Hence there is an absence of vacant d orbital in the electronic configuration of fluorine. So there is expansion will not occur, and when expansion will not occur, so oxidation state of fluorine is always -1. So write down. Also next reason you write down, vacant d orbital is absent in the electronic configuration of fluorine. Vacant d orbital is absent. Vacant d orbital is absent in the electronic configuration of fluorine. Vacant d orbital is absent in the electronic configuration of fluorine. Hence expansion doesn't occur. Hence expansion doesn't occur. Hence expansion doesn't occur, due to which fluorine will show only one type of oxidation state. Due to which fluorine will show only one type of oxidation state, that is -1. That is -1. Clear? Take a screenshot, then we will go to the some other thing. Clear? Okay. See here, electron affinity, okay, and electronegativity. See here you understand the basic difference, and I know you know the difference, I know that. Sorry for the mistake of spelling. Okay, so electron affinity means of ability of attracting electron, ability of attracting electron by an isolated atom, only single atom if attract the electron. It is not a compound. Electron affinity means only a single atom will attract the electron. That is electron affinity. And electronegativity means what? Ability of an atom to attract the shared pair of electron when the atom is in compound. So electron affinity is resembling to the only a single atom, whereas electronegativity is resembling to the atom which is in compound. So electronegativity is measured in the compound and electroaffinity is measured for only a single isolated atom. Clear? So ability of an attracting electron by an isolated atom, this is the basic difference. Okay, and electronegativity means ability of an atom to attract shared pair of electron, in compound. Clear? See, if I write down chlorine, so chlorine, yes or no? So due to the 7 electron, if I put here electron is attracted. So this is a chlorine single atom. But if I write down HCl, now chlorine whatever the electron is attracting, this is electronegativity and this is electron affinity. Means electron affinity is only resembling to single atom. Electron affinity is only resembling to single atom, whereas electronegativity is resembling to atom which is in compound. See, here atom is alone. There is no compound, single atom, chlorine, fluorine, bromine, single atom. But you can see here chlorine is in its compound, that is HCl. Chlorine is associated with someone, that's why we are taking here shared pair. When the shared pair will come? When it will be in compound. When only an electron will come? Single. Clear this part? So always remember electron affinity and electron negativity. Electron affinity resembling to a single isolated atom, whereas electronegativity resembling to an atom which is in its compound. That's why we say ability of an atom to attract the electron affinity, ability of an atom to attract shared pair of electron, electronegativity. So we will see electron affinity, both the rules are same. Moving from LHS to RHS, you know the electronegativity increases. So these are the most electronegative in nature, but moving downside the group, electronegativity decreases. This you know. Okay. So write down, clear no? Electronegativity and electron affinity. This part is clear. That electron affinity resembles to what? Electron affinity resembles to the ability of an atom to attract an electron, whereas electronegativity resembles to what? Ability of an atom to attract a shared pair of electron. Clear this part? Okay. Now see here. So one by one we will see. First we will see atomic radius. So this is very simple. Once more I will tell you, Z effective is directly proportional to IE, inversely proportional, Z effective inversely proportional to R, directly proportional to IE, directly proportional to E. Clear this part? So atomic radius, as we know, moving downside the group, there is no exception in atomic radius, exception is in electron affinity, I will tell you. So moving downside the group at each and every time new shell is being filled up, so distance between the outermost orbit and nucleus increases, size increases. So fluorine is the smallest in size, the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So you can write down this atomic radius. Clear? Next you can write down ionization enthalpy. Ionization enthalpy. See, as you know that ionization enthalpy is inversely proportional to what? Radius. Ionization enthalpy is inversely proportional to what? Radius. So as the radius increases, ionization enthalpy decreases. Yes or no? So the reverse order will be followed in the ionization enthalpy. That is, fluorine will have a most ionization enthalpy, means require large energy G2 to remove the electron, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. Clear? Next we will see electronegativity. Electronegativity, as you know from here, that ionization enthalpy is directly proportional to what? Electronegativity, means the series of ionization enthalpy will be same as the series of electronegativity. Yes or no? Because as you know, ionization enthalpy is directly proportional to what? Electronegativity. So moving downside the group, ability of an atom to attract the electron decreases. Why? Because moving downside the group, the distance between the outermost orbit and nucleus increases. Hence, the nucleus force on outermost orbit decreases. When nucleus force on outermost orbit decreases, the electron will be ready to go. But electronegativity means what? Ability of attracting the shared pair of electron. So moving downside the group, element are wishing to lose the electron, but here we are seeing that to give the electron, means when we give the electron, so moving downside the group, taking of electron, tendency of taking the electron will decreases. So who will be most electronegative in nature? Fluorine will have a most electronegative in nature, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. Clear? So write down this. Clear? Clear? Next we will see, I am roughing this part. Okay. Now very important topic, electron affinity. Electron affinity. So what will be, I told you, no, electronegativity means what? Ability of an atom to attract the shared pair of electron in an atom which is in compound. So this is for the compound I am talking, right? Because electronegativity is nothing but what? Ability of an atom to attract the shared pair, So when the shared pair will come, in compound or in isolated atom, in compound only pair is shared. Isolated atom means what? A single atom to attract the electron. So electron affinity, what you are thinking? You would be thinking, okay, so electron affinity also of fluorine will be more. So you are thinking that this should be the trend, same as electronegativity. But this is not the trend, this is wrong, answer is wrong. No, this will not be the trend. Why? See, this electronegativity is for the compound. This electronegative nature what I have given, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, this shows this type of series when they are in compound, but same series will not show when they are isolated atom. When they are in isolated atom, something different. So this is not the series. Then what is the series? The series you can write down, very important as the exam point of view, that is chlorine will be high, then fluorine, then bromine, then iodine. This is very important question of exam point of view. So this is the electron affinity reason, that is for series, that is chlorine is then higher than fluorine, then bromine, then iodine. So the reason will come, question will come, why chlorine have high electron affinity? Question mark. Why? See here now. See, fluorine, outermost orbit of fluorine, if you see, fluorine means what? Fluorine means 9, 9 means what? 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 5. So I can say fluorine is having 2p orbital, and if comes to the chlorine, so after, if fluorine is having 2p orbital, so here I will write down as ns2 np5, yes or no? So if I write down here 2s2 2p5, students, you tell me which orbital will come here? Here it will come 3s2 3p5, yes or no? So chlorine is having 3p orbital. As you know, 2p orbital is lesser than 3p orbital in size, yes or no? As you know that 2p orbital of fluorine, 2p orbital is carried by fluorine and 3p orbital is carried by chlorine. According to science, from atomic structure we know that 2p orbital is lesser than the 3p orbital. So 2p orbital will be smaller than the 3p orbital. See, in both the p orbital, how many electrons are there? 5 electrons. So here 5, 1, sorry, I will draw a bit. See, this is the 2p orbital and this is 3p orbital according to the atomic structure, yes or no? Because 2p size is less than 3p. So in both the 2p orbital, how many electrons are there? 5, 5. So here also 5 electrons will be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is for what? Fluorine. This is for what? Chlorine. Now electron affinity means what? Ability of an atom to attract an electron. So here also electron wishes to come. Similarly here also electron wishes to come. But you see here, fluorine is having very smaller in size, and in fluorine there are 5 electrons. So due to its smaller in size, the electron will have a repulsion here. Whereas chlorine the bigger in size, there are 5 electrons. So chlorine electron which are in its orbital of 2p will have a less repulsion than fluorine. See here. See, this is the size of fluorine and this is the size of a chlorine. Here also 5 electron, here also 5 electron. So here 5 electron are in smaller in size, and here 5 electrons are filled in larger in size. So here electrons are near in fluorine. Due to the electron near, so they will have a repulsion. When they have a repulsion, so upcoming electron cannot enter. Whereas chlorine, the size is bigger, so 5 electron will not have that much repulsion as the repulsion is of fluorine. So here the repulsion is less, means here electron can be entered easily. That's why chlorine will have a high electron affinity than the fluorine. Are you understanding? Once more I will tell why chlorine is having high electron affinity than fluorine. Simple reason. Fluorine is having 2p orbital, Chlorine is having 3p orbital. The size of 2p orbital is less than size of 3p orbital. So this is the size of 2p, this is the size of 3p. In both the orbital, electrons are 5. So here also electrons are 5, here also electrons are 5. Here electrons are, 5 electrons are in smaller in size, and here 5 electrons are bigger in size. When they are in a smaller in size, so they will be near to each other. When they are near to each other, so they will have a repulsion. And they are far away from each other as compared to fluorine. So they will have a less repulsion. You tell me where electron can enter easily. If electron comes here, so first of all they have a more repulsion. So this electron cannot enter, whereas they have a less repulsion in chlorine. So here electron can enter easily. When they can enter easily, so who is allowing to enter easily of electron? Chlorine is allowing entering of electron easily as compared to fluorine. That's why chlorine is having more electron affinity than chlorine. Sorry, that's why chlorine is having more electron affinity than fluorine. Clear this part? Write down this. Or shall I give you the notes? Shall I give you? Write down. F contains 2p orbital, whereas chlorine contains 3p orbital. F contains 2p orbital, whereas chlorine contains 3p orbital. As the size of fluorine is lesser than that of air, as the size of the fluorine is lesser than that of a chlorine, as the size of a fluorine is, as the size of a 2p is less than that of a 3p, due to which there will be more repulsion, in 2p orbital of F, there will be more repulsion in 2p orbital of F than 3p orbital of chlorine. So there will be more repulsion in 2p orbital of F then 3p orbital of fluorine. Hence chlorine is having high electron affinity. Hence chlorine is having high electron affinity than fluorine. Hence chlorine is having high electron affinity than fluorine. Clear this part? Okay. If you want to see the practical values, see practical value also we know. See, this is the actual technical reason, but in certain book they have given one practical reason, and practical reason says that electron gain enthalpy, you know this, and we know this electron gain enthalpy means what? Delta GH means energy liberated due to entering of an electron. Yes or no? This is only electron gain enthalpy, no? Energy liberated when electron is gained by an atom, yes or no? So what it is observed, practically what it is observed, it is a practical case, this also you can remember. Practically it is observed that fluorine is having more negative delta Heg than chlorine. So fluorine is having more negative delta EgH than chlorine, that is fluorine is having more negative electron gain enthalpy than chlorine. And here one who is having more more negative value, they will be having high electron affinity. See, practically what it is observed, that chlorine is having the more, chlorine is having more, not fluorine, chlorine is having more negative electron gain enthalpy than fluorine. Chlorine is having more negative value of electron gain enthalpy than fluorine, and the element which is having more negative electron gain enthalpy means they will have a high electron affinity as compared to other element. So here it is what is practically it is observed that chlorine is having more negative electron gain enthalpy than fluorine. So who is having more negative electron gain enthalpy? Chlorine as compared to what? Fluorine. So when chlorine is having more negative electron gain enthalpy than fluorine means chlorine will have a high electron affinity as compared to the fluorine. So this can be also reason. So you can add on practical reason also, that once anyone can ask you that why the chlorine is having high electron affinity than fluorine. So simple reason is because chlorine is having more negative value of electron gain enthalpy than the fluorine. Due to this reason chlorine is having high electron affinity, or you can give this reason. Both reasons are correct. Write down this. Okay. Clear? So take a screenshot, then next we will go to the physical state. Clear? Okay. See here, this is a fluorine, okay, and fluorine electronic configuration, if you see, that is NS2, 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. Clear? So what happened, in fluorine outermost orbit electron is how many? 7. Yes or no? This is the electron shell configuration, no bhai. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this fluorine will combine with another fluorine which is also having 7 electrons. So what will happen, this fluorine requires 1 electron to make a bond. Similarly, this fluorine also requires 1 electron to make a bond. So what they will do, they will share 1 electron of each and they will make a single bond, see here, in this way. So fluorine will form FF. In this way, fluorine will exist as a diatomic molecule. So when fluorine is existing as a diatomic molecule by making one single bond between the same atom of it. So similarly, fluorine is existing as a F2, chlorine will exist as a Cl2, bromine will exist as a Br2, and iodine will exist as a I2. Means they all are diatomic molecules. Now after the formation of the molecule, if you see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So after the formation of molecule, there are 3 lone pair on each atom. Means they can lose the electrons, so they are Lewis base. Yes or no? They can donate easily electron. They can donate the lone pair of electrons, means they are Lewis base. Clear this part? So are you understanding or not? So they all exist as a diatomic molecule. Clear? If you will see the physical state, and I am going with the physical state. If I go with the physical state, what I have observed, that fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Clear? So fluorine is gas, chlorine is also gas, bromine is a liquid, and iodine is solid. Clear? Once more we can see this, they have between the molecules of each atom, they have one kind of a force, and that force we say as a Van der Waals force. Remembering Van der Waals force, and in that Van der Waals force there is one special type, and the special type is London dispersion force, which is a weak force. London dispersion force. Clear? So as we move down, and the London dispersion force, one more point you see here, London dispersion force is directly proportional to the molecular mass. London dispersion force is directly proportional to the molecular mass. So as we move outside the group, the molecular mass increases. So London dispersion force also increases. That's why the physical state change from gas to solid. Anyone can ask you the reason, no? See, between here also there is a single bond between FF, here also there is a single bond between ClCl, here also there is a single bond between Br, and here also there is a single bond between II. So there is one type of a force between that, and that force is Van der Waals force. This you have to remember. And in that Van der Waals force, there is one special type of a force here, it is observed, and that is London dispersion force. And this London dispersion force is directly proportional to the molecular mass. So as we move downside the group, molecular mass increases. So London force also increases. So force become more and more strong. When force become more and more strong, the molecule come closer to each other. When molecules are closely packed, and the molecules are closely packed itself, we say as a what? Solids. That's why the fluorine to iodine, if I observe, it is from gas to solid. So you can add on this also. Are you understanding or not? Yes or no? So which is having the weakest Van der Waals force? This fluorine will have a weakest Van der Waals force, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. Yes or no? And iodine will have a strongest Van der Waals force. Why? Iodine is having the strongest Van der Waals force or strongest London dispersion force due to his high molecular mass. That's why iodine exists as a solid. So this is the series of Van der Waals force. This is the series of Van der Waals force. Write down. Clear? If you see the color, one thing more I will observe. First you take a screenshot, then we will see the colors. Clear? Are you understanding or not? Today's lecture is bit long, so you have to see my face. Okay, and you have to sit and you have to study. Yeah, I know I am making you full bore. I know that, but what to do? I am also feeling bored. This is my work. I am doing it. Yes or no? See here. Now see, I hope taken the screenshot now. Next, we will see their color, that is a physical property I am doing. I have a fluorine, I have a chlorine, I have bromine, I have a iodine. Clear? Fluorine is yellowish color and is a gas. This also you know. Chlorine is a greenish yellow. Yes or no? It is also a gas. Bromine is a brown in color. It's a bit liquid. And iodine is violet in color. It is in solid. You know that one question can come, why oxygen and nitrogen are colorless, whereas fluorine and chlorine is colorful. So what can be reason? The reason is HOMO and LUMO. HOMO and LUMO. HOMO means what? High occupied molecular orbital. LUMO means what? Lower unoccupied molecular orbital. So reason is what? HOMO and LUMO. See, in oxygen, in fluorine and chlorine, the space between, see here, the space between HOMO and LUMO, this all you know, atomic structure or chemical bonding, okay. So the space between HOMO and LUMO of fluorine and chlorine is low. See here, understand. So this is LUMO and this is HOMO. Yes, HOMO. Space is very less. So I have to show space less. This is HOMO. Lower unoccupied molecular orbital. HOMO means higher occupied molecular orbital. So here there is an electron. Yes or no? Suppose here there is an electron. Actually there are 7 electrons, but I am showing with 1 electron only. So what happened, you know, the distance between HOMO and LUMO in fluorine and chlorine is low. So when they get the energy, this electron get excited to HOMO. This electron which is in LUMO will get excited to HOMO. And you know, excitation states are unstable or temporary state. After reaching to the excitation state, this electron will return back to the LUMO. While returning back, the energy which he has gained to go to the HOMO, that energy while returning it back, it will release it in the form of a radiation. It will release in the form of a radiation. This radiation falls within the visible region of a spectrum, hence we can see the color. For whom? Fluorine and chlorine. Are you understanding? Once more I will say the reason is HOMO and LUMO. This is the best reason. You can mug it up. That HOMO means higher occupied molecular orbital and LUMO means lower unoccupied molecular orbital. Are you understanding? The space between HOMO and LUMO for fluorine and chlorine is very less. So the electrons which are in LUMO, when they get energy, so they will excite to HOMO. When this electron gets excited to HOMO, so the HOMO state is unstable state and HOMO state is temporary state. As soon as the electron from LUMO reaches to HOMO, they will just, this is the excitation state which is temporary, they will return it back to the LUMO. When they return it back to the LUMO, so what will happen? The energy, they gain the energy to go from LUMO to HOMO. When they return from HOMO to LUMO, so they will release that energy which they have gained. So when they release the energy while returning back from HOMO to LUMO, that energy is falling in the visible region of spectrum in the form of a radiation. That's how you can see the color. Whereas for oxygen and nitrogen, what happens, you know, the space between HOMO and LUMO is very large. The space between HOMO and LUMO is very large. This is HOMO here and this is LUMO here. Clear? The space between HOMO and LUMO for oxygen and nitrogen is very, very large. Hence, the electron cannot excite. If the electron get excited but doesn't go to the HOMO, when they doesn't go to the HOMO, they cannot return it back and the energy will not come in the form of a radiation, so they do not show the color. So simple reason is that why fluorine and chlorine are colorful gas, whereas oxygen and nitrogen are colorless gas. The reason is the HOMO and LUMO, the distance between the HOMO and LUMO for fluorine and chlorine is less. The distance between HOMO and LUMO is less. The electron which is in LUMO get easily excited and goes to the HOMO, but HOMO is a temporary state, which is it is an excited state. So that electron which is in HOMO will return it back to the LUMO. While return it back, the energy which has gained to go to the HOMO, that energy will be liberated back, and that energy is liberated in the form of a radiation. That radiation falls within the visible region of spectrum, hence they show the color. Whereas for the oxygen and nitrogen, the distance between HOMO and LUMO is very, very large, hence electron will get excited, but electron doesn't reach to the HOMO. When electron doesn't reach to the HOMO, they do not show the color. So you can write on this. Clear? Are you understanding or not? Okay. Clear? Sorry. Next we will go bond length. So bond length, it's very easy. You can easily remember bond length. Bond length. See, as you know, fluorine size is small, so bond length will be less. Chlorine size is bigger. Then bromine. So what will happen? You know, who is having the less bond length? Fluorine will have the less bond length. Then what? Chlorine. Then what? Bromine. Then what? Iodine. Clear? Bond energy. So you know, bond energy is inversely proportional to bond length. So one which is having the less bond length requires high energy to break a bond. So they will have a high bond energy, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. So fluorine will have a high bond energy, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. Clear this part? Are you understanding or not? Clear? So this is bond length, this is bond energy, sorry, this is bond length. Yes or no? And this is what? Bond length or bond energy. Bond energy, but this trend is wrong. Why? We will see this. This is also a very simple reason. Clear? This trend is wrong. Once more I will tell. I know you are getting confused. I know. See, this is fluorine. This is bromine. This is iodine. Yes or no? So fluorine size is less. So they have a smaller size atom. When they have a smaller size atom, so they will have a less bond length. So fluorine is having the less bond length. Then chlorine. Then bromine. Then iodine. This is correct. But this is bond length, okay? Bond length. And you know that bond length is inversely proportional to bond energy. Bond energy. So one who is having the less bond length, they will be having the high bond energy. And this is also, you can practically also we can see that fluorine is having the less bond length, so requires high energy to break a bond. So according to you, the series should be like this. Fluorine should have a high, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. So this trend is wrong. What is the actual trend? You can add on the actual trend. Chlorine is more, then bromine, then fluorine, and then iodine. This is also very important and also an exception. Why? Again I will tell you, fluorine is small in size. Yes or no? So when fluorine is small in size, and they have a outermost orbit electron 7. 4, 5, 6. So see, fluorine size is small. Yes or no? So when they come close to each other to make a bond, as their size is small, so electron repulsion is maximum. Understanding or not? So electron repulsion is maximum in fluorine. That's why due to the more repulsion between the electron on each fluorine, so repulsion is more. Once for all they want to break, so they require very less energy to break a bond. Hence, the bond energy of fluorine is less than that of a chlorine or bromine. Not understanding. See, fluorine size is very small. Yes or no? This is one fluorine, this is one fluorine. They will connect together and forms what? F2. But when they come closer to each other, no, each fluorine is having 7 electron in the very small orbital. Each fluorine is having how many electron? Each fluorine is having 7 electron in each orbital. So and they are small orbitals. So when they come close to each other to make F2, each fluorine is having 7 electron in their outermost orbital. That outermost orbital is less, very small, due to smaller in size. So when each fluorine come close to each other to form F2, so due to smaller in size, the electron will have a repulsion. So here the electron repulsion is maximum due to smaller in size. When electron repulsion is maximum, so this bond becomes weak, hence require very less energy to break a bond. That's why fluorine is having less energy as compared to the chlorine and bromine. Fluorine is having very less energy. You supply a bit less energy, the bond will break. So anyone can ask you why the bond energy of fluorine is very less. So you can give the reason that bond energy of fluorine is very less because in each fluorine there are 7 electron, and the smaller size of fluorine, due to the smaller size of the fluorine, the electron repulsion between the repulsion between the two atoms of fluorine is maximum. So when the repulsion is maximum, so due to the high repulsion between the atoms of a fluorine, the bond becomes weak, hence requires less energy to break a bond. That's why they have a less energy. That's why the bond energy of fluorine is less than that of a chlorine. Write down. Clear? Okay, write down one simple reason. Write down. Bond energy is less because electrons are closer. And will cause maximum repulsion and will cause maximum repulsion between the two fluorine atom in F2, and they will cause a maximum repulsion between the two fluorine atom in F2. They will cause the maximum repulsion between two fluorine atom of F2. Hence requires less energy to break a bond. That's why fluorine is having less bond energy as compared to chlorine and bromine. Clear? Okay. Clear? So see, this fluorine is a gas, this is also gas as we know, this is liquid and this is nothing but what? Solid. So why I am showing this? See, this is a physical state. So gas is going towards liquid then to the solid, means slowly all the molecules come close to each other. So you only decide who is having the less density, gas or solid. So gas will have the less density as compared to liquid and solid. So moving downside the group, density increases. So write down the series for density. So moving downside the group, density will increase. So fluorine is having less density than chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. Right. Clear? Then next you can write down boiling point and melting point. So this is also, here also there is no exception, simple you can remember. You tell me which is easy to heat or which is easy to boil or melt. Solid only. The solid requires more energy to, if you have water and if you have sugar, which will be easily boiled, sugar or water. So if water is in liquid state, directly it will go to boil. Whereas first sugar will get melt, after getting melting then it will boil. So solid requires more energy for melting and boiling both as compared to solid and as compared to gas. So this is also same series. Please remember, fluorine is having the less melting and boiling point, then chlorine, then bromine and then iodine. So this is the same series for boiling point and melting point. Next we will see the oxidizing power. See, oxidizing power means what? From the redox reaction we know who can do the oxidizing agent, one who does the reduction, yes or no? And reduction means what? Gain of electron, as you know. Reduction means what? Gain of electron. So you tell me who can easily gain the electron. As we know, most electronegative nature is of fluorine. So fluorine will gain very easily electron. So fluorine can gain electron easily. Fluorine can do strongly reduction and fluorine is the strongest oxidizing agent. So fluorine will be more than chlorine, will be more than bromine, will be more than iodine. And this is also proved from SRP values. You can check it out from from the electrochemistry. So from SRP value also it is determined that fluorine is having the highest, more negative than chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. So you can write down. Understanding now this oxidizing power. Oxidizing means what? Reduction. Oxidizing agent means what? One who does the reduction. Reduction means what? Gain of electrons. Now you tell me who will strongly gain the electron. Who will gain strongly electron? Fluorine, being more negative in nature, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. So fluorine is having the most strongest oxidizing agent, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. And this is also observed from the SRP values, standard reduction potential values, which we have seen in the electrochemistry. So you can write down this series. So that's it today. In the next class, I will go with certain other more properties and we will see the reaction with hydrogen and oxygen, and then we will move towards the fluorine. Thank you.